All right, traders, thank you guys so much for hopping in here today. I'm with none other than the Garage Day Trader himself. Thank you so much for joining me today, GDT. Really
No
appreciate
problem,
it.
man.
I think this is going to be really, really beneficial to you guys. So I'm really excited just to jump in here. We're just going to go over a few questions from when he started to where he is now and a lot in between. So first of all, GDT, why did you get into trading?
Well, same reason everybody gets into trading, right? You want to make extra money. But for me, it was a little bit more than just making the extra money because I already had other avenues that I was making extra money, but they required me being away from my house and my family a lot of the time. So specifically for making extra money, I wanted to be able to do it from my house. And the best way or the way that I came up with to do that was trading the stock market.
Right. I mean, that's very admirable. I know you got another little one at the house now.
Yeah.
So are you wanting to get back out now and not be a day
No,
trader?
no. She's pretty good. So and I want to stay home.
Yeah.
Sometimes I run and hide in my garage, but other than that,
Awesome. Well, a lot of us have been watching your journey for a long time, and you trade a lot different in the past. You're trading a lot different now. There's been a lot of ups and downs. We've all seen it throughout this whole journey. You've been on for what, like 2 years now? 3 years?
over 2 years now. Only
Three.
2 years on YouTube, but it was started
Okay.
before that.
What's been some of the most surprising things you found out about trading?
Well, surprising is at this point I don't know how surprised I am by anything. Maybe more so than surprising is just like when you're starting and maybe you're a year in or something like that, and you think you've got all this knowledge that you gained over the past year. Well, then come year two, when you hit year two, you're going to look back at year one and go, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know anything."
Right.
Everything I thought I knew back in year one is like kind of irrelevant, or I was wrong, or I didn't know enough about it. So maybe the most surprising part is how much you have to continue to learn and how much, it's like the saying, you don't know what you don't know. So until you just continue to get that experience, that's probably what the most surprising part was, because you see all these courses and classes and everything online that is going to teach you how to make money, but you don't know how it's actually going to work until you go in and do it yourself.
Right. And still at this point in your journey, do you have those thoughts as well? Like, wow, I didn't know anything last year. I didn't know anything.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this very time last year, beginning of February, end of January, I was trading 1,000% different than I am currently trading right now, and I was having the worst start to a year trading wise and P&L wise that I'd ever had, and that was kind of January was really rough at the beginning of last year. February was rough. And then halfway through March, I was finally like, that's it. I got to take a look around, see what's going on, change something up here.
Yes, and then a lot of us did see you change something up a
Yeah,
little bit, and
a lot of it.
a lot of it, and a lot of
Yes.
people may not even agree with how you change things up. But ever
Most
since
people.
you did change your strategy, it's only been up, really, hasn't it? I mean,
Right.
for the last year, have you had a red month since you
No
changed?
red months.
Not even one
I
red
had
month.
1 month that I was only green, like, I don't know, $50 or something. But that was my worst month since I changed to what I'm doing now.
Right. $50. That's a night out though. That's still
Yeah.
something. And you just posted a few minutes ago. I saw your January report, which I can pull up right here. That goes over your whole January. Talk about that a
Yep.
little bit.
January was, I'm happy with January overall. I had a lot of off days in January, which is always frustrating because I hate not being able to trade. When you become a day trader in particular, and you're trading all the time, you just have that scratch that you need to itch all the time. It feels like when you're trading, that's one of those things that leads to people over trading and losing money. But for me, at this point, it's not trades per day. It's more if there's a trading day and I'm not trading, that's when it really bothers me. So I had a lot of off days in January, but overall pretty happy with it. Only 2 red days. I was actually red the very first day of the year, so that was tough to swallow, but eliminated that pretty quickly. and then
Right.
had one other red day where I had a little relapse to my old trading strategy because I was bored and just wanted to trade something. So other than that, though, P&L wise, it was just okay because of all those off days. But
Uh-huh.
green percent wise, very happy with it.
Right. I mean, just a lot of days you had to work, but overall, I mean, just doing way better than most out there. And considering where you were a year ago, I mean, it's awesome to see just the improvement, the level of improvement that you've had over the course of a year. And up is the only way to go, you know?
Well, it's not the only way to go, but it's the preferred way to go.
From here on out, you're going
Yeah.
straight up. And one day, when I get old like you, I want to be just like you.
Hey now.
I'm
Hey
kidding.
now.
I'm kidding. So
I
what?
still look younger than everybody. All right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are some of the aha moments you've had throughout this journey and last year? So a year ago, we're celebrating 1 year anniversary. A year ago is when you changed things up.
Yeah.
What was the aha moment for you? What clicked?
Well, there's been a few along the way. Before I was ever on YouTube and before I was doing, videos and putting all my stuff out there for people to tell me I'm a horrible trader for all the time, I was doing the whole penny stock pump trading and trying that out. And I was doing
Yeah.
that just in my kitchen on a little tiny laptop with a screen about as big as my phone.
Right.
And, the first aha moment was after a few months of that saying, aha, I should not touch these low float penny stocks that everybody claims are so good
Yeah.
anymore because they're not. They're garbage. But really, the main thing was last year when I was really starting to struggle with my old strategy, I was sitting down and I was looking at it and I was like, okay, what are some of the basic common sense things that everybody accepts as kind of a universal truth about trading in the stock market? And there are two main ones that I came up with. And one is if you ask like a kid or a teenager, what are the basics of the stock market? They're going to tell you buy low and sell high,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're going to tell you buy low and sell high, or if you're shorting, sell high and buy low, but they probably don't know what that is. So the basics of the stock market, buy low and sell high, is, was against what I was doing in the past, where it was either sell low and buy lower or buy high and sell higher. So I was like, well, that's already against the very basic fundamentals of the stock market trading. So I need to change something there. And then the other stat that you always hear people talk about is like that 90% failure rate, right? So I was thinking about that and I said, well, if 90% of people fail and 90% of people are trading all these same patterns out there, then why am I trading these same patterns? Why am I doing
Right.
or attempting to do what the 90% of people out there are doing? So I looked at those two things. I said, okay, so how can I use these two things to my advantage? And that's when I kind of came across Intensity Stock Watch via Kevin Avery and his suggestion. And I was looking at it, I was like, okay, so this is essentially the basics behind the scanner and the strategy and everything is to buy low, sell high, or sell high, buy low. And it's trading against human emotion. And human emotion is part of what causes the 90% of failure rate. So that those two categories were kind of checked by this new strategy that I was looking at and that you guys were starting to use some. And I was looking at it and I started mentally trading it in my head for a while before I ever started trading it live on the channel. And every time I would take a trade in my old strategy, it'd be red. And then I'd look up at this new scanner that you guys hooked me up with, this intensity scanner, and I'd look at it and I'd mentally trade it. I'm like, oh, well, that worked again. That was green. And after about a month and a half or so of doing that in my mind, I was like, okay, it's time to change this thing that is, this new strategy that I'm looking at. Every time I trade it mentally is green. I'm having all these red trades trying to do what everybody else says you should be doing. It's time to go against the norm and change something up a little bit.
Right. And you've been seeing consistency. That's what we're all after, right? I mean, the only difference between making $1,000 if you make that a month and $10,000 in a month is just adding zero. So we all should be after consistency. And I was in the same boat with you as far as the penny stocks go. Not fun.
Yeah, no, they're
not fun at all. And
I feel like most people who survive end up getting out of those in the long run.
Or becoming a guru. And
yeah, one of the two. You got to have a chat room to do well in those, I feel.
Exactly. That's it. I mean, if you don't have a chat room, you're in trouble. You need
Yeah.
sheep buying your stocks on up. So talk a little bit more about this intensity stock watch scanner.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody knows that watches your channel, that watches my channel. They know what it is.
Yeah.
It's giving you a alert of a stock that's making a high intensity move, so an extremely oversold or extremely overbought condition in a very quick, fast amount of time that has a high probability of doing a pullback. So, I mean, the scanner is built to tell you before it does the pullback, and then just based on, whatever, because we all kind of do slightly different strategies with it. So it's not,
Right.
one strategy is the one that works using the strategy. No, you can use it to apply it in many different ways. And what I do is different than what you do, or different than what B does, the guy who made the scanners, and all of that. But essentially, the basic fundamentals behind it are all the same, in that it's giving you a high probability trade because of the current conditions of the stock.
Right. Exactly. And guys, I'm gonna show a little chart right here for you of kind of what the intensity stock trading does, what it finds. Like GDT said, it finds high intensity moves, low intensity moves. You can trade either side if you're a bullish trader or if you're more on the short side. Any way you trade, there's opportunity that it provides. That's what we're all looking for, opportunity. So to wrap things up, GDT, give us one quick piece of advice to some of the new guys starting out. What piece of advice would you give to some new guys?
Well, I would probably say there's a few. Don't do what everybody else is doing. If what everybody else was doing was working, they wouldn't tell you, and as many people wouldn't fail. If you're trying to do what the herds are doing, if you're trying to take all these perfect patterns that supposedly work all the time, you're not going to be successful. Find your own, your own way to trade, kind of make things work for you. I personally think that trading is very personality based, so you have to find a strategy that works for your personality. Obviously, I'm partial to the way that I trade and the intensity strategy that I use, but at the same time, I know for a fact, based on the comments that I get, that some people can't handle the mental aspect behind it of, they look at it as adding to a loser, when that's not at all what we're actually doing with the strategy. It's more building into a position that has a high probability of success. But beyond that, I would say just don't quit. Start really, really, really small when you're starting out. Start way smaller than you think you should start. If you think you're starting small, cut that at least in half and start even smaller. So the name of the game is, when you're starting, is survivability. Survive as long as you can until you've figured out something that's consistently working for you, and then try and build on it from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, GDT, for joining me here today, guys. I'm going to put GDT's code for the scanners in the comment section below. Hit that up. You get up to 30% off on the scanners, which he uses every single day and has been consistent for the last year. So, last word, GDT?
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Team ISW.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Take care. Hit that like button and subscribe button. We'll see y'all next time.